Hello to anybody that listens to my video. I have a story to tell. I put a video up there about 11 years ago. My mother was abused by my sister, and I came from a very abusive family, a horrific childhood, and they didn't have the help that they have today. I'm 65 years old. Uh, my mother was abused by my sister. She lent her money like a freight train and treated her like crap. And my mother basically, I believe, died of a broken heart. I did get her safe in a nursing home, though, before she passed away. And then I had a meltdown. And so started my stint in mental hospitals. They diagnosed me as a bipolar within 5 minutes. Now, I know I had depression and anxiety, but I never believed bipolar. And they filled me with all kinds of medications, and I could go into big stories, but I'm gonna share about the medical field and the psychiatric, the doctors. Ever since I've been pegged as mentally ill, when I go to an emergency room, they don't believe that I'm sick. I've been humiliated by doctors in the emergency room twice. One time, I almost died. I had appendicitis, and they dismissed me and said, "Oh, she has anxiety," and sent me home. And for a year, I was suffering. I had serious anxiety, and I didn't know where it was coming from. And I believe it was my body telling me that I was sick. Well, about a year later, it came to a head. I woke up one morning and I had no energy, and I vomited and I went to sleep. And all day I vomited and slept. By 4 o'clock in the morning, I jumped up, found the energy to look up on the internet appendicitis to see what the symptoms were. And lo and behold, I had them all. Anyway, the paramedics come. I call 911, and a paramedic decided to play doctor. I didn't know he had a degree in being a doctor. And he said that I didn't have appendicitis. I said, well, maybe I shouldn't go to the hospital. He said, I'll go for the safekeeping. Well, it turned out that I not only had appendicitis, by the time they got to it, it was gangrene. Gangrene. I could have died, thanks to these doctors that don't think that mentally ill people actually get sick. Okay? I'm 65. I'm bound to break down, I'm not perfect here, but they evidently think I am, except I don't have a perfect brain. Well, when my mother passed away, they filled me with all kinds of medication, mind-altering chemicals. They're altering the brains of God. It makes me sick. I'm no longer on medication. And while I was on it, I didn't realize that my family was abusing me. It came to a head in November when I told my daughter I wanted to go back in the hospital. She grabbed my wrists and pushed me on the bed and hovered over me and told me, "You ain't going nowhere." And after she let me up, I tried to call 911, and she grabbed my cell phone and smashed it to the floor. 2 days later, I was gone. I walked 7 miles to freedom. I didn't know where I was going, but I wound up walking into a Baptist business office, and it was amazing. They knew my counselor, and they contacted my counselor, and I went to the hospital. At that point, I was homeless, and all my clothes and my car were at my daughter's house. I didn't take my car. All I took was the clothes on my back and my dog and a throw blanket to keep my dog warm when he wasn't walking. It was cold, a little chilly outside. I wore layered clothes. I'm a Canadian and I'm a New Yorker, but I live in the South, but I know how to keep warm when it's cold outside. I felt like Forrest Gump. I did. When I got to a certain area, it was beautiful. I didn't have a care in the world. It was amazing. I went on a vacation. I really did. It was It was breathtaking. It was beautiful woods and beautiful, beautiful sky that day. It was just gorgeous. And, and I didn't feel afraid anymore. I had anxiety for so long, and I never told that my daughter was abusing me. I never told. I'm I was raised in abuse, and I was on all those meds. I couldn't think straight, and I couldn't feel my feelings. They took away the thing that's the most important thing in a person's life. They took away my spirit. They took away my spirit. I was a walking dead person for about 11 years. I couldn't feel. I never got to mourn my mother's death because they had me so drugged up. I couldn't feel. I'm mourning her now, and I'm angry because doctors they're not supposed to do harm. That is the oath. But they did harm to me. They almost killed me. And it wasn't the first time that I walked into an emergency room and had a medical problem. And the doctor, I had one doctor that I needed him to look at my rectum. There was something wrong with me. He didn't believe me. I guess he thought I was a crazy woman because he saw my chart that I have a mental illness. I feel like a felon. I feel like I'm a felon. I feel like I'm worse than a felon. And they talk about do no harm. The psychiatric community and doctors did so much harm to me. I can understand why some mentally ill people wind up killing somebody. They treat us like crap. Now, I've been trying to contact people. I contacted a senator. I'm not trying to sue anybody. I care about these people. I met more humane people in the psychiatric ward than I meet in real life. They were nice to me. They were very nice people. The woman that I have a nice little apartment now, my counselor found me the apartment while I was in the hospital. And I have my dog and I have a little bird. I like animals more than I like people. And I have good reason to feel that way. But I ran away from my daughter, and my grandsons were abusing me as well. And now that I'm not on the medication, I'm looking back at all the things that were done to me. And I have a lot of anger and hurt and I have an ocean of tears to cry. I've been crying a lot. I hadn't been able to cry in years. They took away my feelings. I was a zombie. I was a literal zombie. He was adding. I remember one day he just came out. I'm going to give you want some sleeping medication? I didn't need any. I didn't even tell him I was having a problem with sleeping. These psychiatrists, what they're doing is modern day lobotomy. They're trickling. They're playing with the human brain. They're playing with our feelings because our feelings come from our brain and trickle down. We think it comes from our heart, but most people know it comes from our brain. And they're playing with our brain. They're playing with our emotions. For all those years, I did not go outside very much. Every time I had to go out, I had anxiety, and I was on anxiety medicine. I was on antidepressants, and I was depressed all the time. And the reason why is that there was one thing that could have solved my problem: love. I wasn't getting any love, and nobody would listen to me. Doctors just disregarded me, and they almost killed me. But I had this one doctor that there was something wrong with my rectum, and he didn't believe me. He said, "Oh, you look like you have a little anxiety." They look at your chart, and that's the first thing they think. It's your mental illness. They don't think that we get sick. And I said, I probably do, being what I've been through. And I literally had to beg. He was an intern. I had to beg him to look at my butt. And that's pretty sad when you got to beg a doctor to look at you. So he said, "Well, I'm going to look." So he thought I was a little old nasty woman that just wanted him to look at my butt. That's what he was insinuating. That's so disgusting. And so when he finally did, I made sure to turn around and look at his eyes because I knew there was something wrong with me. And next, his eyes got big as quarters. He said, "I'm going to get the doctor." He goes racing out of the room. The doctor comes in, wailing his arms in the air like this. "We're going to help you." I said, "Oh, thank you, thank you." I can't believe that I had to thank them and I had to beg them to help me. This is what they're doing to mentally ill people, and it needs to change. Now, I got adult protection service. I've been looking at different avenues. I can't call the hospitals. I called one today, and they said was, "Oh, if you feel like you need to come in, come to the ER and we'll put you in the mental ward." I couldn't believe it. I told him everything that happened to me, and he didn't care. They made me sick. They made me sicker by the way the treatment that they give mentally ill people. Anybody can get depression. And I don't consider depression being mentally ill anyway. Back in the 70s, it wasn't. Depression, you can get depression when when a family member dies. And the best medicine is some hugs and love. What happened to love? These people need love. And I know what I'm talking about because I needed it. I needed it so bad. There was one Christmas that I got to my daughter's house and I was depressed as usual and I wanted to talk to her and she shut me down as usual. She said, "It's Christmas. We're going to have a good time." Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to act like I'm happy when I'm not? Are you kidding? So I was sitting in the dining room and I was by myself and I looked at the Christmas tree. And I looked out at the pretty lights and I looked at the Christmas presents under the tree and I thought to myself, I would rather have a hug than a gift. Hugs are precious. 10 years ago, after my mother got abused and all that, and then she passed away 9 years, I guess, I told the counselor, I said, "You know what I want to be when I grow up?" And he said, "What?" I said, "A little old lady with a smile on my face. I have been through hell. I'm trying to get somebody's attention to change how the medical doctors treat mental patients. They treat me like I'm a criminal. I feel like a criminal. I can't. Every hospital in Shreveport and Bossier knows me. I've been to every one of them. When I left my psychiatrist the last time I went to see him, he said, "Well, you know you're at high risk." I said, "Heck, I'm at high risk whether I'm on medicine or not." I said, "I've been in and out of these hospitals for a long time on medicine, so I don't know what he's talking about." And he wanted to add lithium to the repertoire. I was on 5 different meds. Boy, and he wanted to give more. They say that psychiatrists are taken advantage of by people. I want to turn that around. People are being taken advantage by psychiatrists. And I don't think that what they're doing, I don't think their medicines are helping. They're hurting people. These people need love. They don't need pills. That's what they need. They need love. They need someone to give them a hug and to listen to them. Why don't they have group therapies in mental health clinics, health hospitals? They have, but they're only for an hour, and then the rest of the day you're coloring, and nobody talks about it much of anything about really deep down inside stuff, because they're all drugged up. They need somebody to talk to. They don't need the drugs. Anyway, why do people want to tamper with God's creation? All right, He created us. He created our brain. Now, my body is just a vessel. It carries what's most important: my spirit, my soul, my brain, my heart. my feelings. They took all of that away. I was lethargic. I felt like a dead woman walking. I really did. And I was. I felt invisible because nobody listened to me. It's very sad, but I got abused by my daughter after I saved my mother and my two grandsons. I don't have them in my life anymore. I can't. I loved them. I could have pressed charges. I had a detective come to my house and I had bank records. My daughter was spending my money as well, right under my nose. And when the detective came, I got cold feet. I couldn't I couldn't put her in jail. I couldn't do it. She took all my furniture. I had to start over. I'm in touch with adult protection to see if they can get me back some of my stuff. I have some things that are sentimental value to me, like my father's guitar. My daughter has that. My mother's will. I wanted to keep those things, and there's other things as well. I had accumulated quite a bit of things throughout my 65 years, and she took everything. I didn't even have a bed. I had the bed at her house that I had bought only a year before. She kept that too. So I had to buy a bed and a mattress, and it didn't take long. It was amazing. I had some help from my daughter's ex-husband. He lives near where I live, and I went over his house and I wound up with a futon. God is good. I didn't have any furniture. And he had a futon couch, a black one, and they didn't know what they were going to do with it. My granddaughter lives with her father because she doesn't like living with her mother, which is understandable. So I wound up with a couch, and I had bought a fold-up table from Walmart, and I'll tell you, it makes for a good coffee table. It does. I managed to get everything I need. I don't need expensive anymore. Money, truly, it truly is the root of all evil. I've seen the worst in people because of money. My daughter hung a rope in my bedroom closet and in the garage. I know why. She wanted me to kill myself. It wasn't there before I would have seen it. It was hanging right where I could get it. And I don't know how it was attached to the ceiling or whatever, but it was there and it was within reach. And I thought about hanging myself, but I didn't. I'm here to tell the tale. I hope that there's other people out there that are experiencing, there has to be. If you do, please leave a comment. I got elderly abuse coming in because doctors and some of the nurses and technicians at the mental hospital have abused me mentally abused me. And I find that these doctors can get away with murder. They can get away with murder. And I wouldn't be surprised that they haven't killed mentally ill people because they dismissed their illness and said it was anxiety. Just a minute. Hi, Denny. No, I'm not okay. I'm not okay, but I am okay where I'm going to have to stop this video.